why don't we talk a little bit about testing and evaluation? So, how does Element assess the effectiveness and reliability of newly developed solutions? And what criteria are the most critical during evaluation, whether we're talking about this project or any project that you're working on?
So typically, Element is a service provider to either the DoD directly or to other defense primes. And they are developing the products, and then we are testing them to either a standard or as a prototype. They have some criteria that they're wanting to evaluate that prototype. So there are a lot of processes and experience that we have in that field of writing test plans and making sure that every requirement is met before we initiate the test, so to speak. A lot of time, in some cases, the assets are one of a kind prototypes that you don't get two chances to collect the data. So that puts a little more pressure on it. A lot of times, like I said earlier, the schedule is the dictator that you want to do it right the first time because nobody's going to give you a second chance with timeline to collect that data and make that iteration in the design. But usually Element is, we may be developing a new diagnostic like we're doing in this study, or we may be applying old diagnostics in new ways, or old diagnostics in standard ways. Those are three kind of things. And we're handing the data to another set of engineers. And we want it to be valuable and we want it to be creditable. So there's a lot of things on our quality control and sensor calibration, all that kind of stuff to make that valuable data to them.
So, can you describe a situation where a prototype didn't perform as expected during testing, and then what lessons were learned during that experience?
I would say generically speaking, I don't want to call anybody's device out specifically, but um,
Smart.
there are some programs where engineers are simply pushing the limits of, let's say, an energetic train is you have a detonator that goes to a booster that goes to a main charge, but it's new chemistry or it's new densities of the energetics. And moreover, what may be part of the criteria is new environmental conditions like temperature. And those affect energetics quite well as well. So we will do that type of testing for them. We will apply an extreme temperature, high or low, and now the train doesn't detonate correctly. And that would result in the failure of a munition later. And we're doing it in more of a subcomponent test to show this isn't a good design and here's the density or here's the geometry that didn't work. You need to go back to the drawing board and we'll test it again.
It's a little different in my world because like even failures you learn from, and our product in an academic environment is our contribution to science. Even though I'm in mechanical engineering, we are in essence scientists also. We might be doing science towards engineering and technology, but we're still trying to make a contribution to the scientific literature. So even in failures, you learn something. And we try and figure out a way to communicate that understanding. Because in the literature, it doesn't, we're not selling a product, we're contributing. So it's not like we're not going to get fired if it didn't work. Because again, we're not in the application realm of it. So it's probably not, we're not thrilled with it, but we think about it in a way that we almost become thrilled with it because we've solved a problem that might help someone in the future. Right. And so we have to follow that path. I rarely let a situation die. Do you know what I mean? I can always figure out how someone somehow could benefit from this understanding and then find a way to publish it. So like I'd say 90% of the time, our attempts don't just fizzle away. They evolve.
Right. I guess that's all with the design process too. You have iteration and, you try and you fail and you reiterate
Right.
and it is
So,
interesting though
yeah,
to see the different perspectives. One, you could
right.
get fired, and the other you learn from it and you publish it and other people learn from it.